I chopped this fender up. That's a front fender off of something. Some kind of Chevy, I think. And you can see the front of this thing. So, got a very similar shape. Back of that fender. Back of this fender. This is the whole fender. I've got it where it's right at the bottom of the bottom of the bed. I think I need to lower it down to where it's the same level as the bottom of the running board. This other one here, it looks pretty good. Got a little straighter cut on it, but I didn't do the whole fender. But this is all in one piece. And I've got the rear of the fender right at the rear of the bed. And the wheel is pretty much centered. I've still got an inside brace on it there. You can see I've got 2 or 3 inches here at least. I didn't cut this back part off, so that needs to go in a few inches. And I'm right up against it here. The inside of my fender, well, it's sitting on top of the inside fender. This will go down some. I need to take that brace out because it's holding it up a couple inches, but I'm pretty close to the top there. But basically, I like this look. It's definitely got the swoopy look, and I've got a kind of a double pointed look here. I like that. I can cut some of this inside off of here. I'll measure it and see how far I can. I roughly measured 14 inches. That'd be enough to cover everything. But I'll measure this again across here. Cut some of this inside out right there in the corner. And I'll take my inside brace out of here so it sits down on that fender. I don't think I'm going to be able to use that fender that I've got, but that's all right. It'd be pretty easy to get those off. And I'll set this up and probably just clamp it on for now. I'm not sure, but I need to trim it up, and I've got to lower it a couple inches or so. Whenever I do lower it, it's going to bring this front of this fender down to about the top of that running board. So if I can get it down to there, I can cut that off square and or level, we'll say, and I can weld that right onto the onto this running board, or make some brackets to mount it. So that's going to drop 2 or 3 inches, and I've got 2 or 3 inches up under here. That's no problem. If I take that inner fender off, that'll give me, 6 or 8 inches at least that tire can go up and down inside there. So anyway, I'm gonna try to cut the end of this fender off here and lower it till it's and it's almost right at the bottom. We'll have to measure it. Might take a few more inches and try to get it at the same level as that running board. Right now it looks like it's right about the top of it. I'll find my tape and measure some of this, see what it looks like. I cut a little off the edge here and slid that in. Looks like my starting to close this gap. Of course, I'm up against the bed right here and sitting on top of the fender there. And this looks really good here. It's right at the back of the bed and flush with the bottom of the bed. But what's happening is this inside fender's holding up the whole thing, and I got, I don't know, 8 inches of room. I don't have to really worry about how close it is. So, and this fender is bolted on. And what I got down in here, looks like I can. I got so much stuff here, electric and all kinds of stuff, but I can get to my bolts and take that fender off. And that's what I need to do. Take that inner fender out and that way I can lower this thing down and get it set up, and then I'll have to make a frame for the fender. You know, this is going to be going in quite a bit. Anyway, I got to get that inside fender off of there. See what I got. I cut about an inch off of it, 3/4 of an inch. Tapered it to around in here somewhere. You can see I'm pretty close to the fender there. I've got about 3/4 of an inch left, and I'm fairly straight in here. Looks like I could take a little more off of there. I've got my wheel pretty much centered here. I'm right now about 4 inches from the tire, so it looks like I could go in another inch. This front one is sticking out a little over the edge. This is getting, well, this is pretty narrow back here. You know, I'll fall down over my chin and break my leg here. But that fender is looking pretty good right now. Actually, probably if I take 3/4 of an inch out of it right there, taper that all the way up to here somewhere, that's gonna allow me to bring this fender in. Actually, it fits pretty good if I push it up. Oh, it's holding right there. So I've got it pretty flat, but looks like it's sticking out way too much here in the front. But it's pretty flat all along here. I don't know whether I ought to take a little more out or not. I'll do some measuring off the tire. And of course this can be moved around. I didn't take the fender off, because actually that fender's kind of, you know, bolted into the running board there, into the bed. I could still take it off, but basically what this tells me here is that I've got it fairly straight. Yeah. So this front end here is kind of tweaked. I don't know what shape the other front end is. The back is not. So I think what I'm going to do is do some body work on this front piece right here and get it to the shape that I think it's supposed to be. Maybe weld a little piece of round rod in it. Maybe the other one is going to have enough curve on it. I don't have it here, it's outside. Let's take a look at it. Well, this is pretty chewed up. It's going to be hard to tell what shape that was. Boy, this is going to be a problem to make. But looks like that was pretty much straight across there. An even curve. Man, it's too bad that wasn't rusted out someplace else. That's going to be hard to fix. I was hoping that most of this would get cut off, but I do have the outside edge that I can run a piece of round rod around. Anyway, this looks like it was pretty much straight across, and oh yeah, and then this one's been kind of tweaked out. So I think I'll try to fix this first. You know, this last cut job here was pretty decent. I think I need to cut a little more off of this front rather than the back. And I'm like, oh, where's the fender at? Oh, it's way up here. About 6 inches from here to the inside fender. So I can probably just cut some little braces tack the outside of this fender into that inside fender to get it to hold the shape I want. It's going to be quite a bit of work to try to make that front on the other fender. But at least I got this one, and I really like the way it looks. It's going to be custom. Well, to start with, I've got a crack here in this fender. You got another one right here. That's where the brace was. I've got it pretty much beat out, and what I've got's a piece of round rod here that I've formed to the shape, and I'll clean this up, clamp this round rod in it, and I'll try to weld right through that into the round rod. First thing is try to beat this out just a little bit, get it flat, and then we'll weld our round rod in. Well, I took a piece of 3/8 round rod, got to some shape that I thought was pretty good, and welded it in here. Kind of a patch right here that I fixed a broken spot. So hopefully that gave me a shape that's approximately what I'm going to have. I'll set it back up on the truck and see what it looks like. Well, that looks a little better. Of course, now I've got that round rod in there, I can bend this around, but it's kind of flat across there. The fenders approximately centered. Of course, this is the same, but I've got a little bit of a, I can actually move that in a bit. I don't know what it did over here. I have to roll that forward some. I think it's better that I just push it in like that. I can make some kind of a patch that'll weld those two together. Pretty good all along here. Take maybe 1/2 inch out of the front of it. But looks good. Wheel centered. Got a nice curve to it. It's not the same curve as that, but more of a Duesenberg look. But it definitely fixed up my fender. I've got the exhaust pipe is probably about right here somewhere. Maybe I'll leave it under the fender Maybe I'll bring it out, put it right in here somewhere. That actually looks really good. It's sticking out quite a bit wider than the front, it looks like. Maybe I'll go ahead and looks like I could move it in a few inches at least. Probably another 2 or 3 inches. Looking up here at the front, that's hard to tell. I'm going to measure it center line to center line. Well, center line of the hood is about 35 inches. Let's see if I can find the middle of this bed. I'll just go 44, so that would be 22 from here. Call that 22. I really can't tell. Let me turn it around. So there's 22. So it looks like this is 34. 34. I forget what I said over here. This is 35. So it looks like it's about the right width. We'll see. More measuring. Just sitting down here taking a look at it. That looks really good. I probably ought to put the tires on it so I can see what happens and let it down. But that fender is going to work out just fine. Probably ought to tweak that back a little, pull it in some. What I'll have to do is I've got plenty of that 3/8 bar left. I'll bend it to the shape I want, make me some brackets. I will be able to I think if I just leave that inside fender in it, I won't have to make a lot of stuff for it, and I can use that inside fender for a brace. I'll have to get under there and take a look, kind of like act like an inner fender well. Or I might just make a few brackets for it. Take that fender off. I didn't really want to take it off because I've got a couple bolts in it that go through the inside. I have to take the wheel off to get to them. But I'm pretty pleased with the way this worked out. That other fender you saw earlier, probably the lower 1.5 foot of it that we're looking at, was just all rusted out. I'll have to fabricate that whole thing, but I can use this one as a mold and kind of hammer form me a patch for it. weld it in. Gonna be a lot of work, but fenders were free, so I can't complain about that. Well, it got me a little foo-foo, little vintage swan ornament. Everything I could find were several $100s. This one has one broken screw in it, but it's in good shape. It's got some vintage look to it, and it'll mount on my hood. It's kind of give me a nice look. I don't know what it's off of, but it gives me a nice look. Kind of ties into my horns, and I'll have my lights. And anyway, just a little detail that wasn't too expensive. I think I paid $50 for it, including shipping. I've got the little chrome grill that went in here. I traded the original one off for a crank hole cover that's got a Dodge Brothers emblem and a homemade one that's stainless and polished, so it's nice. I'll put some little chrome stuff on this, and I've still got my headlights. I got a little piece of chrome goes around them. I'll use my bad Chad chrome to do the accents on this, but it's coming along. Anyway, I'm real pleased with the way that looks. Yeah, that definitely set it off. It's a good size. It's not too big and it's not real small. I've got plenty of that stainless left. I'll probably make a piece that goes across there and fills up that hole, and it'll polish up nice. But give me a hood ornament. Kind of pleased about that. Well, trying to get started on this piece here. The first thing I did was bent me a piece of round rod that's the same shape as the other one. That mark right there is where I'm going to cut it. It's in 3 inches, so I've left a little bit of room there, and clamp this in good. And can't really see there, but I could weld this, 3 or 4 spots across here. This doesn't get rusty until this, right in this area. Well, it's rusty, but at least I got a pretty good lip on it. First thing is try to get this whole full front piece curved to where it's the same as that one. And that's what this round rod's going to do. I'll get this curved, and then I'm going to have to pound this out flat, and get this all the same curve as the other fender. Once I get this basic shape, then I can weld this back together where I cut it. This shouldn't be too much trouble because I cut it in good metal. So once I get these two, then it'll just be a matter of fixing these big holes. This one here won't be too bad. That one might be a little bit of a problem. But I've got enough curved pieces and stuff that I can probably patch in something pretty good there. Anyway, start welding up this rod and see what I can do about getting this front corner. Well, I beat me up a little rod here, and it looks like it's pretty good in this angle. And it's pretty close all the way around. I could have a little bit more right there on the bottom end, starting to curve up. But I can clamp this in here, start welding it, and see what I can get as far as this actually don't look too bad. I can get a fairly decent curve on this fender. That's what I'm trying to match over there. But I've got this straight enough to where I can see where the curve used to be, and that's what I'm going to try to put in here. And then I'll have to, once I can get this pretty straight, then I'll have to make me a panel to cover it. I don't know. I get it, one place looks good, another place looks bad, but this is kind of a complicated curve. Anyway, I'll clamp it up and see what it looks like. Well, I kind of got the bottom kind of put in there, and I tried to kind of tack as much of the tin together in a few places. I get one more radius rod. This is probably about 16-17 inches, probably in this area right here. And so I matched this curve with a piece of 3/8 round, and I stuck it in here, all down over all my trash here. So the next thing, if I try to knock this in, that's going to alter the where it's at on the radius there. So what I need to do now is put the piece that I cut off, this old bad back fender here, I need to get that off and get it over here and try to put these together to match that radius. Now, I did quite a bit of body work This was kind of caved in all in here, so I kind of got it all straight, mostly straight. Got the curve in it. Looks like I still got a little right there that I need to beat out. And got this kind of straight across here. You see where I burned through here and into my rod. This rod only goes about to right here. So kind of got this clamped to where it's holding the shape, and then I'm just trying to patch it up. I haven't even thought about trying to fix these holes. I got rod and stuff in here, so this is all pretty good. Rod goes all the way around here, so this will hold good. But just trying to get the general shape. Over here I kind of made a mistake. I got this is welded pretty good here, but it starts going high in here. I'll have to cut that off and reclamp it. It walked a little, but it looks pretty straight. And I was working on this edge, and that led me to the rest of this body shape. So some of this is going to get cut off. I don't know how much. Not much more than what's there, but I'm going to recut this and clean it up, try to get this part fixed good. I could weld it, but it's 1/8 of an inch up and I can't really beat it down, so I'm going to cut this and get it in there better, and then I'm going to weld this part up. There's Mr. Fender welded back together. I welded it on both sides. Had a little trouble fitting right in there, so I used my bad Chad trick and welded it up with coat hangers. I've still got a few holes in it, but it's good and solid. Looking at it here, it's still needs some body work. That place right there where the clamp is kind of crunched in. You can see that. But I can hammer that out. At this point, it's solid enough to go ahead and mark it where I need it, and cut this off. This is not really doing me much good, just kind of getting in the way. It's about 3-4 inches inside that light housing or whatever that is. So I'm going to cut that off, and I'm hoping that some of this curved part right in here, I can probably use some of that for this this patch here. Flip it around to the other side. The inside will be the outside. I mean, before I get to making that patch, I need to finish up this front. get it straight. That shouldn't be too much trouble now that I've got the fender back on and welded together. I can patch up the rest of these holes and then grind it off, and I can make that fender look like it never been cut. I probably shouldn't have cut it, but at the point I was at when I looked at this, I wasn't thinking at all. Well, I guess I can mark this and cut it to see what it looks like on the car. Well, here we are, roughly trimmed down. It's almost down to the bottom of the floorboard. Looks like I might be able to take a little more off of there. It's lined up pretty good with the tire. It's pretty good here in the back. Maybe a little too far forward. Now this is looking pretty good. It looks like I need quite a bit of tweaking there where all this rust patch is. And I've got a pretty good slope on it there where I welded it back together. This one looks the same. I probably need to make another bar that holds that shape. Weld that in. I've got can't really see in the camera, but about an inch. This is away from the, there we go. Still, of course, pressing it in lifts that up. There we go. That's pretty good. That's pretty good there. Fairly straight. Looks like about a foot off the bottom edge. I need to cut a little bit more. I've got plenty of room here to do that. I measured, I think it was 14 inches. I'm pretty close to that now. I'm probably going to have to cut some of this back. I figured that was going to be the case. Probably an inch or so, because I can see that it's coming out there and holding the fender away, and that needs to go in more. It actually don't look too terribly bad. This one looks real nice, perfectly round across there. And this one's pretty close to the same shape, but I think I need to trim this bottom piece up about an inch, right about to where those patches are I made for the spring shackles. That'll pull this in, and moving that over will close that gap, and I can a little bit more right there. I know I measured the how far the rod was. I've got about another 3/4 of an inch right there that needs to be cut off before it hits my rod. And I can take that up there, just cut that little section out. It'll move it in 1/2 inch. And I cut the back one. That'll move it in. So anyway, I got fender up and mostly cut, and on the car pretty good. I don't want to get real carried away here because this is not really welded and it's really flexible. I've got a vice grips holding a round rod in there. But this don't look too bad, and I might have to weld like a little 1/2 inch triangle in here. I'll try not to. I just roughly cut this with a Sawzall. I thought I was leaving a couple inches. Well, I was. The fender is inside there about 2 inches. But no big deal. Just a lot of welding. Thing that I found here was just tack it together best I can. Then of course burn holes in it. Then flip it over. Weld the back up with coat hanger. And that gives me plenty of metal. And then I can flip it back to the outside, grind it down and fill it, spot the little holes. Anyway, it was a kind of an all-day job, and I'm still not even really doing my body work. I did a lot of little stuff. You can see there on the curve, a couple little weld spots. There's a lot more went in here than what it looks like. But I'm going to do those little modifications, trim it right there and in the back. That'll get it to fit a little better. And I'm not sure if I'll just tack this onto the body. I think that would be my best bet. Get this outside edge exactly where I want it, tack it onto the body, and then work on putting these patches in. I'm not sure how I'll do it, but that's the second fender rough cut.